What's up, everyone? Are we live? We live? Again, still testing things. So let me know if everything's good. Sound, camera, hair. Let's see. I think we're live. Well, let me just double check the YouTubes.
The Planet Fitness Black Card.
Yep. I think we're here. I think we're here. See me? No? Maybe? No. Looks like it's working. Do you hear me, Mark? This is what I get for trying out new things and learning new skills. But I'm excited. Stream today. We're going to talk about a couple things. Thank you, Mark, for being there and being my tech check. I definitely got to do more private streams and test out the software a little bit more. But we learn as we go. As we go. But how is everyone? Is everyone reading anything fun for New Comic Book Day? I haven't gone to the shop, so sadly, if you have read Martian Manhunter issue number 3, please do not spoil it. Thank you. But exciting. We're going to talk about a couple different topics, especially some things I maybe want to do a video on in the future, but the Black Panther game was canceled this week, which EA is going to do EA things, but I still was very excited about that. I mean, I kind of forgot about it, but because also Skydance is working on their Captain America and Black Panther game, so I think that is much closer to getting made, obviously. So I was like, oh, that's going on. And then when this one got canceled, I was like, oh yeah, EA did announce a couple years ago that they were working on an Iron Man and a Black Panther game. Now, Iron Man, no one's really figured out how to make that work in video game format. Black Panther, I think there is an opportunity for that, but we'll see. But yeah, we'll go through some things. We'll also talk about Peter David, who we lost this week. Big influence if you're a fan of The Incredible Hulk. I'm a huge fan of Young Justice. That show has had such an impact on me. I would not be making YouTube videos without that show. So the fact that they co-created that, and also, like I said, with the Hulk, there is no MCU Hulk. There's no Professor Hulk, Grey Hulk. A lot of the concept and ideas that we so closely associate with that character came from the mind of Peter David. Yes, Simple J, I was really looking forward to the Black Panther game. Same. We never got any footage, and I wonder if we'll ever, like, now that like developers are fired, the studio shut down, if we'll maybe get like some leaks in terms of that. Mark, Legion of Comics, Black Panther canceled, MCU shows all scrapped, movies delayed, ish. At least we got Mission Impossible. That is true. That is true. We did get Mission Impossible. I did not love Dead Reckoning, but I am excited to watch The Final Reckoning. Eventually, when I get to it. I saw Lilo and Stitch with the family, which was okay. It wasn't the crime against humanity as some people online will have you believe. It was a live action Disney movie. It was some things were good, some things were weird choices. But I'm not a huge Lilo and Stitch fan to begin with, so maybe I was not the person to watch it and give a fair critique of it. What was that footage of the old Black Panther and World War II cap from? Did that game ever come out? No, it did not. It got delayed till next year. That's actually being written by Emmy Hennig, who did the Uncharted games, and then also you have Mark Bernardin, who's done a lot of stuff, has a podcast with Kevin Smith. Also, shameless plug, came on the Bada Boom podcast, so I've interviewed them. That game is actually going to come out. So, knock on wood, because games seem to not come out these days. But that one actually looks exciting. I am a single player type of gamer, so I am excited about this. This Black Panther game that was canceled was going to be a singular Black Panther experience. I think based on some of the reports that you would be able to pick your Black Panther and it'd be set in different periods of time. I mean, I love single player superhero games. Spider Man, Arkham, all those things are so good. And I think Black Panther is the perfect character for that. So we'll kind of like talk about that. Like, I'll bring up the article and we'll sort of like go through the news and see. Yeah, Simple J, go back and watch season one of Young Justice. Those first two seasons are amazing. Yeah, gaming tree stuff. We at least we got the Black Panther cap game. I'm with you with that. Mark, as long as we get to play as Shuri, it should be fire. I wouldn't be mad at that. I would not actually be mad at that. Like if you got the choice between all of them and stuff like that. It's just the game. Like I don't know. EA's in a weird spot. Like everyone's asking them to make Battlefront Front Three, but based on their output over the last couple years, I don't think anyone could trust them with that. But we'll go through the news. So, EA's Black Panther game has been canceled, according to reporting from IGN. EA announced the news via an email to employees. That sucks. IGN also reports that as a result of the cancellation, Cliffhanger Games has been shut down. Now, Cliffhanger Games is a new studio that was actually put together by the guy who was behind the Shadow of Mordor game, which, in a crazy twist, also was shut down. I think it's what was their monolith, something like that. They were at WB Games, and they were working on a Wonder Woman game, that studio, and that was canceled. And now they went over, not after it was canceled, but they had created their own studio to make this Black Panther game, and now they're shut down. So, insane stuff. And just shows you sort of the state of the gaming industry, where you have these 100 $200 million games that get produced and don't ever get made. They get greenlit, and then hundreds of $1 million resources, all that kind of stuff is put together, and then we never see it. Yeah, and then another thing about it, and I was going to talk about this, it seems like these video games for superhero movies and superhero comics are cursed, because over the last couple of years you had Suicide Squad kill the Justice League, which was terrible. Should have gotten canceled, but it made it. So, but it cost hundreds of millions of dollars and wasn't made, and they didn't make any money. You know, they had to sort of like push it out because they had to, and then that sort of created sort of like a cascading effect through Warner Brothers, where they canceled their Wonder Woman game and was like, all right, we're focused on single player games again. And then if you look at Wolverine, there were a bunch of leaks from Insomniac. So there are people in the world right now that have played an early build of Wolverine, have seen all the characters that were supposed to appear, and that game got pushed back. And Insomniac has actually done a pretty good job of making those games. Never seen that. Blade, which is supposed to be made by Bethesda, I forget what studio in Bethesda is actually working on that one, but the Blade game was going to be really awesome, and they released a trailer for that. Don't know when it's coming out, if there's ever going to be a gameplay trailer. So, and like the things that actually are good and came out, like Guardians of the Galaxy, which was made by Square Enix, and sadly had to follow the Avengers game. So people thought that was gonna suck, and it was like probably one of the best comic book video games of all time. I don't care what anyone says. That one is so good, but it flopped, so we'll never see a sequel. So it's in a weird state. Like I don't know if we'll Spider-Man 3. Who knows? Again with those leaks. Legion of Comics sounds like classic padding of the books. Never intended to release the game, just roping investors, lying to shareholders, and giving themselves bonuses. Yes, it just seems like things these days cost an insane amount that you don't see it on the screen, whether it be in movies, video games, all these media properties. It seems like the production of these things have gotten out of control in terms of the budgets, but I don't think it's going to people's salaries. It's clearly not going to the game, because you see the game, and yes, games cost more now and they're supposed to be bigger, but they're hollow. Like like the early Arkham game. I think Arkham City had like a multiplayer. Like these games used to be full games. You pay $60 for it, and it would be a full experience. There was no like battle passes, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you get a season pass and stuff like that, but you actually got value out of that. And now, as Simple J, I regret buying the $100 version of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And as you should, because I think the $100 version of it became a PlayStation Plus bonus game within a year. So you definitely were scammed on that one, my friend. But yeah, it just sucks, and this is happening in movies, video games, uh, a little bit sometimes in comic book, like basically any piece of media that you like, anime. It seems like where the money is, people are just extracting value and never being put in. I've never been more proud of my decision to stick to an N64. You're right, Mark, because that was one of the last times we got to see Superman star in his own game. It was terrible, but hey, we got a Superman game. And speaking of which, that was a time where games used to just pop out like, hey, like if it's a license, we could get a small team together, put out a game. That's just not the case anymore. I think we have to figure out what to do because these things are really important to make these characters stick. We see how cool Spider-Man has become. I mean, Spider-Man's always going to be Spider-Man, but that Spider-Man game is the first one especially is better than any of the Spider-Man movies that have come out recently. Definitely better than the Spider-Man books. So these things are important. And the same thing with Batman. Like those Arkham games gave new life to new Batman fans, created a new generation of Batman fans. And now these games just disappear. They become live services, they become too expensive. And then you factor on top of that, I had seen like on a YouTube video that the licensing for some of these games, particularly Wolverine because of the Insomniac like leaks, like these companies pay like 30% to the company. So if you're paying 30% to Marvel and your game already costs 200, $300 million, there's really no wiggle room for failure. And that's the same thing with movies. Like movies are so expensive these days, like between that, the marketing budget, all that kind of stuff. Basically every movie that is a big budget tentpole movie has to make at least $600 million to break even. That game is legit rough. Yes. My favorite Superman game actually though is there is a GameCube Superman Adventures, like the animated series Superman. That was actually pretty good, and people forget about it. I think no one gave it a chance because of Superman 64. Like that Superman 64 has just about as bad as a reputation as ET the game. Like it's so famous for how bad it is. And it sucks because I think we need a new Superman game, and Warner Brothers seems disinterested in making one. Bats, what's up? How you feeling? Also, reminder, we're talking news, but also if you were a part of the last live, if you commented what you've been reading lately, we're going to be announcing the winner at the end of the live. So if you're in this chat right now and you haven't commented on that video, please do what you're reading. We have a couple entrants and it's going to be fun. I didn't really promote it that much because I think if you supported me during that first live, I appreciate you, and I wanted it to kind of be like, hey, like those first people that were there, you get something. So at the end of this, we'll spin a wheel and I'll get that out to you as soon as I can. Legion of Comics, Superman Returns was fire. I do remember that. Free World Play was like Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire, but with Superman. Spider-Man 2, the movie game on GameCube, is top 5 video games of all time in my book. Like, that is one of my favorite. I love the new Spider-Man games, and I think they do a lot. Like, obviously, like, if you get into an argument with people, they'll be like, that's the better game. But for me, that was all time. And, it's crazy because around that time it just was like no one thinks of it as the golden era of superhero games, but you had like a Batman Begins game. I had that on the Xbox. You had the Superman Returns game. Obviously you had things that were based on comics, but all the movie licensed stuff, like even Marvel, like they used to do MCU games. Like you had an Iron Man 2, you had Captain America was really dope. Thor was fun. There was even a Green Lantern movie game. So I actually wish we got more of that stuff. Simple J, we was gonna get a Batman Beyond game, but sadly, WB hates money and hates Batman Beyond. Anytime there's a chance to do a Batman Beyond, they say no. Your friend Brent's Superman Returns was a great game. Yes, it was fun. Legion of Comics, Spider-Man 2 movie game is goated for me. One of the newer games that I legit played. It set the mode like WCW Revenge did for wrestling games, which is true. Batman Vengeance is solid. I'm gonna be honest. I had that on GameCube, and and maybe I was a kid, and I just could not get past like the first 5 minutes of that game. Like I didn't know how to move or anything like that. Sort of like one of my aspirations for this channel is actually getting like a PC and running emulators for like old superhero games and doing let's plays of them and being like, oh, like I remember sucking at this, and I still suck. Yes, the Captain America game was like the Arkham format, but with Cap in World War II, and it had I think it had Chris Evans as the voice actor. Like no game studio would be able to afford that guy now, but it was a product of his time where you could get the actors from the movies to do the voice for these characters. And it's a fun game. I always, anytime there's like a video of a retrospective on that Captain America game, I watch it. Sadly, because it was a movie tie-in and it aped a lot of the ideas from the Arkham games, I think people were like, "Oh, but it's not as good as Arkham." But I mean, if you look at all the bad games that come out today, like in hindsight, that game is a classic. Your friend Brett, Aquaman on GameCube is a secret sleeper. I always wanted that game. Like I always saw the cover and was interested in it. Speaking of Peter David, obviously also an iconic Aquaman writer. And based on some of the things I've seen from that game, it seemed like it was taking a lot from his run because that was before Jeff Johns. So if you're looking for cool Aquaman, you're looking at Peter David's work, and it seemed like that game was that. So, GameCube, my all-time favorite Nintendo console. Like that was the console for me. But we're gonna talk about some more news. I made a video on this earlier, so go check that out. Marvel and DC's comic crossover, Deadpool and Batman. Not so excited about the Deadpool aspect of this crossover, but hey, Grant Morrison, Dan Mora, there's going to be more crossovers and backups to be announced. This is good for comics. In my video, I made the point like, hey, like, whatever gets people in the shop, I'm down for it. It's going to be cool. Like, I'm excited to see what they're able to do with it. And if you could get Grant Morrison to write a book, a superhero book, of course it's going to be good. In summary, like I think I have Deadpool fatigue. I don't know if like other people do, but that might be just me. Hulk Ultimate Destruction rocks. Yes, that is all-time video game superheroes, no questions asked. X-Men Legends rules. X-Men Legends does rule, both of them. There's so many X-Men games, man. It's just like the movies, man. There's such a like mixed bag, but like when an X-Men game hits, they hit. I hope like we get more of that stuff. Like it just seems like the movie synergy and just like these companies are so like stretched thin between what they're doing and stuff. We don't get them, and they want to control everything. So like it'd be cool if they just lend out the license to more studios instead of being so precious with it. Then we'd get more games like X-Men Legends or Ultimate Destruction. I was watching Comic Art Fans one night, and I didn't know Brian Hitch was doing a lot of the art on that game for like the cover art and some of the interiors and stuff like that. And I was like, if that's insane, there's someone out there that owns like Hulk Ultimate Destruction art. But back to the crossover. Jim Lee obviously super excited. Look at this Greg Capullo, Batman and Deadpool. Like if you got speaking of that part of it, you have Zeb Wells on that book, which I haven't read Amazing Spider-Man, but like the way people talk about that book, it's like it's insane. Paul, all those characters, what happens in it. Like I hear about Amazing Spider-Man more than books that I'm actually reading. Like, so good luck to Zeb. I hope this is able to wash away Amazing Spider-Man and have people talk about him in a different light, because it just like you can hear the collective groan when he was announced as a writer. And honestly, I've never read. I may have read something from him before. Obviously, I like the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which he wrote. But it's crazy that his name is just forever stained by Amazing Spider-Man. Now, as I think about it, there isn't a really a superhero game I didn't enjoy. Bats. There's a couple I didn't. There's a couple I did not. But there are some great ones. You know, like the X-Men Origins movie had a great game. It was like God of War. I mean, it's hard to mess up Wolverine as a like solo character. You know, he's just made for video games. The Deadpool video game, funny enough, is actually pretty good. Uh, they could have gave us Amalgam in 2025. Yet here we are. Yes, Mark, that is true. But I think in 2026, that's probably where we're gonna at. Hopefully. Um, Obviously these things have to go through so many approvals, but it's just weird that like the first thing every these executives came up with is like, what if? Just think, Batman, Deadpool. Only could come out of the offices of a comic book company these days in 2025. Punisher game is the mountaintop. That is true. I've been wanting, like, I want to make a video on that game. I think actually Jimmy Palmiotti actually wrote on that game, and I'd love to like interview him, maybe get some like interviews with like game developers and talk about it, because I remember that game was like insane when it came out, like in terms of like the kills and stuff like that. It was like that and Manhunt were like the games like people were playing and like talking about in like the lunch table. They're like, oh my god, this is insane. Yeah, and I think the movie not being successful definitely hurt that game. The hate for ASM Volume 6 makes me want to read it more. Not me, Bats. Not me. Oh, it just came to me. All the Spawn games suck. You know it doesn't suck? Spawn and Soul Calibur. Spawn was awesome in, I think, Soul Calibur 4. I think if you had like the Xbox version of Soul Calibur 4, or maybe it was Soul Calibur 3 or 2, one of the Soul Caliburs, Spawn was awesome in it. They could have titled this Cash Grab and it would be still pronounced Batman Deadpool. You are not wrong. You are not wrong. I am surprised I don't see money signs in Deadpool's eyes. And it's just so weird. Like, again, I posted something and people were like, this is peak. You should be excited about it. And I'm like, really? Like, of all the characters, like, Batman alone is a draw. Like, if they had paired him with, like, Daredevil or Moon Knight or something that, like, actually made sense, I think you'd still get the same level of excitement because it's Batman. But then you just throw Deadpool. And I think Marvel overestimates how popular Deadpool is in the comic buying space. He's super popular in licensing. There's PJs. I have PJs somewhere in this house with Deadpool on them. Popular character in that regard. But I don't know if there's people clamoring for a Grant Morrison Deadpool story. But hey, I am not an executive at DC or Marvel. Exciting stuff. I'm excited for what's to come in 2026. And I think it sucks that this thing that's supposed to be super exciting has people, or especially me, who should be a mark for this stuff. I'm already looking past this book and I'm looking to the next ones. And that should not be the case when you're doing your first crossover in over 20 years. Do Deadpool books even break the top 50 list each month? I don't believe so. I don't think so unless like Rob Liefeld is doing the cover or something like that. Like, and with Marvel, it's hard to tell what's successful because they relaunch everything, including their most successful books, every 6 months. So it's hard to tell what actually sells at Marvel. Batman Deadpool is going to be like Spawn, Batman Spawn. All the shops are going to order, and there's going to be like stacks of it years later. Batman Spawn, that kind of makes sense. You know, you're bringing Todd. It's like one of the most. That makes sense. But like, I don't know. Like, Batman Spawn is not as big as a Marvel and DC crossover, and I feel like if you're gonna do something like that, that you're probably not gonna get a chance to do for another 20 years. Do something fun. You know, like act or do something people actually want. It's just, and with Spawn, like, Todd literally gets paid by DC to make their toys. Like, there's a relationship there. Todd owns the character. They can make that happen, and there's less complication because they really just need to talk with Todd. Whereas with Marvel, you know, you got to go through Disney, lawyers, all that kind of stuff that make it super complicated to make a collaboration like this happen. And for the two companies to be like, hey, let's do Batman Deadpool. And not only let's do Batman Deadpool, but let's get two of the best artists in the game, Greg Capullo, Dan Mora, to do this book. And then we're going to bring Grant Morrison out of semi-retirement to write this book instead of writing something differently. I don't know. Just not too excited about it. King of None, Deadpool and Batman makes no sense at all. It would make more sense if it was someone like Batman and Daredevil. Again, 100%. There is a Daredevil show on right now that was really popular. I don't think it was great this season, but the general public seemed to like it, and it would get people really involved. And maybe you could do like a little like short like Disney Plus or HBO Max like mini documentary about how this crossover was made, the history of it, or anything like that. But again, no free ideas. I am not an executive at Marvel or DC. Legion of Darkseid is all that matters right now, at least from the big two. Yes, Legion of Darkseid is going to be fun. Everything happening in the pages of All In. The fall event is going to be super fun, and I'm excited to see what Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson are cooking with that. If you watch this channel, you know it is basically all absolute DC at this point. A lot of you found this channel through that, so I'm excited to have more absolute DC books to review. I didn't even know Deadpool had a consistent run. He has had consistent runs over the time, but no character at Marvel has a consistent run if you count all those relaunches. Weird Wall Gamer. Will Batman put Deadpool in jail because he's a well-known known murderer? No, because Deadpool will be putting the Joker in jail. That's the crossover. Deadpool will not kill anyone in this. It will be like when they in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 when they couldn't use their swords and their katana and all that stuff. It's just gonna be Deadpool, no guns, and he's gonna be tapping people on the head with his katana. That DD show was straight buns. That is correct. I was really hopeful and hoping that like I like elements of it, and I was like, oh, they're gonna turn it around and stuff. But that last episode completely jumped the shark, and I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. But I love those characters, some great actors and stuff, but it just seemed like the show was beyond saving from those initial like 6 episodes or so. It's crazy that that's what got greenlit, like those initial like, hey, he's gonna be, you know, a lawyer and not Daredevil the whole season. But hoping for good things. The Defenders look like they might be returning, so hopefully that's good. Nah, I didn't like the new DD. Season 2 should be a lot better. I'm hoping so, because that Daredevil show meant a lot to me. Imagine the Deadpool crossover was him just killing Joker for one panel and then leaving. That would actually be fun. That would be an interesting take. And I do like when Grant Morrison does the fourth wall breaking. If you look behind me, I do have a copy of possibly the greatest comic of all time. Also, one of the greatest Grant Morrison story ever told, Animal Man in omnibus format. So hopefully we get some stuff like this. If that matches the quality of this book, it would have been all worth it, and I will shut up and I will make an apology video for not being excited about Batman Deadpool. But yeah, I'm excited about the crossovers. Not that crossover, but hopefully they get some like really great creative team. It seems like DC has more of a budget. Hopefully Zeb Wells does not find out how much DC has their page rate for their creators are, because immediately he's gonna be like, hey, I think, can I do like the DC side of these books and stuff? I thought the DD season was too fast paced, and now I'm worried about the second season because of the new scheduling that they want to do for the MCU. You know, the MCU's the MCU now. I just hope that it's just more consistent. The storytelling they tried to Frankenstein last season together, and some things worked and some things didn't. And I thought the last episode like jumped the shark, where like Kingpin like snapped like turned the commissioner's head into a watermelon, and then they put Punisher in a dog cage and expected us to be like, oh wow, how did he escape that? So I'm hopeful for the Punisher special presentation. All the Marvel special presentations like Werewolf by Night, the Guardians of the Galaxy Hollywood Christmas special were all great. So I'm hoping that's good. And then season 2, if we get Danny Rand back, I will forgive. How long is the story for Animal Man? I believe it's 25 issues, if I'm not mistaken. Their run, it goes on longer than that, like after Grant leaves. But let me just see if it has that in the table of contents. I do believe it's 25 issues, though. Yeah, 26 issues. Yeah, it has Animal Man issue 1 up until Animal Man 26. Great story. If you have not read Animal Man, it is available on DC Infinite. It is something I read more recently, like 2-3 years ago, and it changed my life. I was one of those things where, like, you're like, you get it, you read it, and you're like, this is why people talk about this book. Who else was shocked with Superman Unlimited #1? I was outspoken, worried about Slott on Soups, still cautious, but dang, issue 1 slapped. I have not read issue 1. Just because I was like a little scared of opening my Dan Slott signed issue, but I have the Midtown Comics exclusive, which we're gonna give away to people who commented on that last video. I'm hoping it's good. I did see some of the art. I flipped through it a little bit, and I think sometimes like people need a break, and maybe Dan Slott was at Marvel for too long and just needed to be reinvigorated and be in a different place. I know a lot of people were scared because of like Bendis's transition from Marvel to Superman, and all the changes that he made, and then obviously just sort of left, and now DC still, it took them a while to pick up the pieces and get Superman back to the place that he's at, and I don't think John Kent ever really recovered from that run. So I know why people will be skeptical of Slott, but it seems like I think people responded to it pretty well. And I hope when I eventually get to read it that I like it too, because I'm hopeful for the Superman family stuff. They've been putting out nothing but fire for the last 2 years. Why did Grant Morrison stop writing for Animal Man? Honestly, 26 issues is a pretty good run, and if you read it, it has like a pretty good like beginning, middle, and end. So I don't mind that it ended with 26 issues. The book went further than that. But I don't know exactly why Grant stopped. If DC reassigned them, or maybe they just got tired of it or anything like that. But it's literally the perfect comic run, like from art to the storytelling. There's some really great all-time classic issues in there. So yeah. Did you ever watch Superman and Lois? It was on the CW. I've watched some of it. I really like it. Mark from Legion of Comics, who you should subscribe to if you love comic books and you're in the chat, he's been a champion of that show for a really long time. I have been meaning to watch it. I always see clips of it, and I'm like, damn, I need to watch it. But it's hard to ever buy into something that is going to end. And when the Superman movie was announced, I knew that show was going to end eventually, like really like, and not have the same run that maybe Smallville had. So I never really gave it a good chance. But I have not finished it. Wait, you haven't finished Superman and Lois? And here I was thinking we were friends. I am sorry to break that to you. And I guess we're acquaintances now. But yeah, really great stuff. Tyler Hoechlin, people have, high regard for his Superman. Every time I see like him at a con, people are really excited to meet him. I'll probably try, maybe I'll watch it for the channel and maybe give a review as Superman gets closer to release. And sort of the last topic we're going to talk about is Peter David. Rest in peace. He passed away the past couple of days ago. I think it's just really sad just because when you think about all the money that has been made from the ideas he's created, whether it be Professor Hulk, some of the ideas from Aquaman that ended up in the movies, obviously Young Justice, which was a successful animated series, that he passed away dealing with health issues, but not only those health issues, but the stress of that medical debt, having to go on a GoFundMe. It's crazy that an artist, like a creator of that caliber, that has, so many different things that have just been a part of our lives. Spider-Man 2099, which was a huge hit in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Like that he was in a place that, you know, has to ask fans and friends and family for money on GoFundMe and it's even sicker when Marvel, tweets out a memorial and stuff. And I know that it's that person that works at Marvel, that social media person, and the people that work at the company don't necessarily have much say in how creators get paid, but it's one of those sad things that I think really puts you in a place of like, why would anyone want to be a comic creator if you're someone like Peter David, who was as good as you could really get as a writer. Mark is saying it, Future Imperfect, like Future Imperfect, that was in the Avengers game. Like he's created characters, the Maestro, that is just like, and ideas that just will forever be iterated on. And even as recently, like the Maestro book he recently wrote, some of the recent like symbiote Spider-Man, like he's done good work up until like recently where he had his health issues. It's just like sad, like when you see that, because on top of the stress of being, sick and, his family having to deal with it, he has to deal with the stress of the medical debt and, seeing if he could get through that. Like, so like, you never know how much that weighs on a person. But like I said, his work forever will have an impact and he'll live on through that. Young Justice, this channel is called Nightwing Stand. When I started my podcast, it was through my love of Young Justice that made me want to talk about things on the internet, comics. So it's just sad to see stuff like this, and I hope through this people learn a lesson, and also the comic book industry learns that, like, hey, if this is how you treat your best creators, this is why the work more recently hasn't been up to par. I think some things have been good lately, but it's just, you're not going to attract the best talent if this is how you treat your best. Hey man, do you watch any anime? And if you do, one's your favorite? Plus, what comic would you recommend the most besides Animal Man? Animal Man, classic. I'm trying to look behind me to kind of recommend things. And in terms of anime, one of my favorites now is actually Kaiju number 8. So, the manga is amazing. You should definitely watch the anime. The anime is on Crunchyroll. We got, I think season 2 comes out this year. Something I'm also watching anime wise, Sakamoto Days. That's amazing. In terms of like mangas where I'm like excited for the anime, Kagurabachi. That is like top tier. Mark, see you later. Kagurabachi, top tier. You got to read this. There's only 3 volumes out. Probably the best thing I'm reading right now, comics or manga. So check that out. And then any comics. If you're reading right now, like a lot of the Absolute Universe stuff is amazing. Like all of it. Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern. Like if the worst book is Absolute Flash, like that line is fire. And also the Ultimate stuff. Like, so if you're new to comics, I think those are great books that you could really just like jump into, and like there's nothing you need to learn or anything like that. Terminator Zero was amazing, uh, and we'll probably never get a live action Terminator, so we have to enjoy that. Simple J, Monsters We Make is a great one. Yes, you recommended that to me, and I definitely have to check that out. Apparently made by a YouTuber, so I got to check out their stuff. I've watched Sakamoto Days and I really loved it. Yes, part two of season one is coming out. I'm gonna try to get like a, I don't know, like a little like capsule box and stuff, and I'm gonna send it to Mark from Legion of Comics so that he could fall in love with manga and anime like we have. Because there's some stuff I think he'd love, like Kaiju number 8. Like Mark, come on, like this is literally, it's Pacific Rim, like it's all the things you love in a comic book. Yeah, like you have to read it like backwards and stuff like that, but like, and it's only $10, man. You can kind of catch up, and the anime is amazing. So maybe we do like a content trade or something like that, where like you watch animes that I recommend you, because I think you would love Kaiju number 8. But yeah, anything else people are reading? Like that would be dope. That'd give me some cool content. Watch me burn this box of manga should get great views. Yeah, like honestly, like the amount of dislikes you'll get from burning a box of Kaiju number 8 and Sakamoto Days volumes would, break YouTube's dislike ratio, which is very hard these days with the amount of bad and divisive content that's on the platform now. Yeah. But yeah, we've gone through a bunch of the topics, and I really appreciate you guys for showing up. I am still learning this live streaming thing, getting comfortable with it. Appreciate Mark for giving me some like pointers in terms of like shouting out the chat. A good idea. Do a trade content where we review each other's requests. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Yeah, I will DM you. We will talk about that. Have you watched Cowboy Bebop, Akira, Evangelion? Evangelion, I could never finish. Cowboy Bebop was on when I was a kid in Toonami. Watched those, great. Netflix show, not so great. Akira, like classic. I think if you haven't watched Akira, you've definitely watched the things it's inspired. So, all classics. I do have no idea what Evangelion is about. I've tried watching it. I've tried watching the movie, the animated. Like, I just can't. Like, I can't get it. I just don't know. Maybe I'm old. I don't know. Alita Battle Angel does count. Like, if you've read the manga, I'm sure there's an anime somewhere, and the movie was amazing. Like, it sucks we never got it. That's the closest we're gonna get Mahershala Ali as Blade. So if you want to see Mahershala Ali's Blade performance, it's in Alita Battle Angel. But we're gonna go do the giveaway from the last video. Like, I really appreciate you guys showing up. It's not easy to do lives, and for you guys to make this kind of like appointment viewing. I've seen some people that I've seen in the chat before, so I'm really excited. And if you do win and you're in the chat, definitely hit me up on Discord or Instagram so I can get your shipping info. Let me just double check the video to see if anyone else has commented on it, just so I don't miss any names. Let me just check this out. 1 second. No, looks like I got all the names. So we're gonna spin this wheel in just one. Simple J, I ordered Superman Volume 4, Rise of the Superwoman. Did you grab that new Justice League membership card? Give me 1 second if things are a mess around here. I'm sorry. There you go. There it is. Look at that. So this is the Superman Justice League card, right? Like, you see that? Let me move that towards the chat. Get it in focus. Pretty cool, right? But it's even cooler because the back of it is actually signed by Dan Mora, the GOAT. This is awesome. When I gave it to him to sign, he was like, what is this? I was like, hey man, you don't know where your art is being put? Like, did they pay you for this? I hope so. And I kind of regret not having him sign like this part of it, but it was pretty cool to see like his reaction to it. He was showing an artist next to him. He's like, have you seen this? And it's like, yeah man, like your art is everywhere. But yeah, he signed my Justice League membership card. It was cool to meet him. Got a photo with him. He signed. I have a signed like print from him, and then he signed a Nightwing book for me. I definitely wasn't prepared because I like bought stuff at his booth and stuff. I wasn't sure he was going to show up because he's an incredibly busy guy, but really humble, really tall, and he was working the entire time, like right behind the booth. He was like signing, sketching, like that guy doesn't stop. They just dropped the GL card. I do have to get that. That I am. Is it Hal that they dropped? And is it Dan Mora? Like if it's Dan Mora art, I'm gonna definitely get it. I'm gonna go to the shop, maybe tomorrow, and pick that up. Yes, he signed it. Simple J. I'm back. Tried to take my dog in the lake. He wasn't interested. Sometimes dogs don't like to get wet. But yeah, we're gonna do this spin, and then we're gonna announce the winner of the giveaway. All right, guys. Good luck. If you commented, first giveaway ever, first of many, hopefully. So let's run it. It looks like Black Joker won. I don't think they're in the chat. I don't know if they're a he or she, but they do comment a lot. And they are definitely a part of this community, and I really appreciate them. They comment on quite a few things. And so I'm definitely going to hit them up, try to comment, reply on their comment in that video, and reach out to them. And hopefully maybe get a photo of them with the giveaway so that we know what it looks like. What we're giving away, by the way, is this is what they won. Martian Manhunter #1, signed by Dennis Camp. And then you have Superman Unlimited, signed by Dan Slott, with Dan Moore art, the GOAT. Yes, congrats. Thank you. Again, really appreciate you all for pulling up. I'm trying to get better at this live streaming thing, trying to build a community. Hope that you guys really like it. And, next week, hopefully I get to the shop where I can actually review the comics. This was kind of like an impromptu thing where I was like, hey, I was supposed to do this weekly and do the comic reviews, but I didn't get to the shop and I didn't want to miss it. And, comics, YouTube, all that stuff is about consistency and holding yourself accountable. And you guys hold me accountable because I feel like I have to do this for, I promised myself I would. And then also you guys show up all the time for my content, and I really appreciate that. So thank you all for showing up. Again, when we do something, the next giveaway is definitely going to be bigger and promoted, and maybe a different type of video than a live, but I really wanted to really show my thanks to all of you that showed up to that first live. And let's do this again. You better not miss it. You told us once a week, you bail on us, we will burn this channel down. Okay, that definitely holds me accountable. Please don't burn this channel down, because I think it's something special, and it's kind of like my car in the garage that I've been working on since July, so please don't burn this channel down. Thank you. And thank all of you. Appreciate you guys.